Hello, Marcus Lim here to talk about Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the Deluxe edition. Now this edition that I have here, this is not the new one. Recently DC re-released this, I think around December of last year. So that was the new one, but I mean the contents are all exactly the same, so I'm just going to show you this one, which I got. I think this was already more than 10 years now. This is 2009 edition, and the only difference between this one and the new one is the cover, right? So this one is got Superman like flying out toward us, and the other one is well, as you see, I'll put the screenshot on the screen as well. Right, so that's the difference, but other than that it's all the same. And so a little bit of context about this story. This is Alan Moore's very last Superman. Well, it is intended to be the very last Superman story ever told back in the mid 80s when DC was restructuring everything and trying to relaunch his characters after Crisis on Infinite Earths. So they got Alan Moore to come up with essentially the last Superman story of the Silver Age era, right? So this is, you know, as intended by Alan Moore to be the very last Superman ever told. So for someone who grew up with Superman in the in those days, this was essentially the last Superman story before DC rebooted the character. So you can see here, right? Alan Moore's legendary Tales of Man of Steel. So the two issues, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, right? And as well as two other stories, also by Alan Moore. So let me take off the jacket. Okay. And inside it's just the black Superman logo. Alright, so here we go. So it begins with an introduction by Paul Kupperberg to essentially kind of like describe what I was just explaining about the context of this story and why it's the last Superman story ever told. Which makes it kind of like an imaginary story, but in Alan Moore's famous words, right? Aren't they all imaginary anyway? Right, so this is the so this image is actually the cover for the new deluxe edition, okay, which I was showing you before. Alright, so here goes just the story, kind of like describing Superman's last days, where we see characters like Bizarro and Toyman and all getting more violent, and Superman kind of like having his identity revealed, right, for the first time, and everyone knows who he is. Got Lex Luthor and Brainiac also kind of like becoming more vicious as well, right? And we got all these kind of like, I think to the point where Superman had to kind of like get all his friends and loved ones to the Fortress of Solitude, and there's a classic image of him in despair, in sorrow. So you can see this is actually the image of like the deluxe edition that I got. Alright, so this is part 2, and we got the standoff at the Fortress of Solitude where all the enemies are surrounding the fortress, and then I guess we see the deaths of some characters as well. Bit the bullet, right? Because it is, after all, the last Superman story ever told. Or is it, right? Because at the end it ends with sort of like a wink, right? So it ends on quite a positive note, this last Superman story. Alright, so here we have Superman and Swamp Thing. So this is another of Alan Moore's Superman stories. This one teaming him up with Swamp Thing. Something, you know, obviously is one of Alan Moore's most well-known characters that he wrote in the 80s. So, you know, it's kind of like fitting to have a story of Superman and Swamp Thing meeting. And then we've got another one here, the annual Superman annual, from Superman annual number 11 from 1985. And this one is another famous tale of Superman. You know, pretty much about this Black Mercy parasite that kind of like gives Superman his, I guess, his heart's desire, right? To have the life he's maybe always wanted in a Krypton that never exploded, right? So that's kind of like for the man who has everything. Yeah, it is a classic story that's been adapted into, I guess, comics, like some TV episodes as well. And yeah, it all came from here. Alright. So yeah, there you have it. Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow Deluxe Edition. As I was saying before, if you don't have this one, you can always grab the latest edition out now, right? Just released about a month ago. All the same content as I showed you, just with a different cover. So that's my very quick look at this classic story. That's a fitting Standoff or swan song to the Man of Steel in the 80s. Alright, so check it out, do like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video.